This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, well, here's the weird thing. Both this On This Day and Birthday Boy are in the same year, which is unusual. But there is a link. Anyway, in 1951, 70 years ago today, there was a big baseball match between the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now, of course, we all know that those two teams, the names exist, but the cities don't. The New York Giants are now the San Francisco Giants, and the Brooklyn Dodgers are the LA Dodgers. And the Giants and Dodgers, as of right now, are in a dogfight to win the NL West. If Los Angeles wins and San Francisco loses today, then it's a one-game playoff to decide who wins the NL West. The winner will be the number one seed in the NL, and the loser will be in the wild card game. Strange enough. And the funny thing is, they will probably bump into each other in the playoffs again. Anyway, the Shot Around the World happened in 1951 on this day, October the 3rd. Millions of viewers across America actually saw this game. And you'll be thinking to yourself, hang on, TV was just in its infancy in 1951. You're right. But this was, I believe, the first baseball game to be seen nationwide, like to have all the signals go from East Coast to West Coast. Now, the Giants and the Dodgers were in a dogfight. The Dodgers looked good with a 13.5 game lead at one point to win the NL. Remember, at that time, you needed to win the league to get into the World Series. And the Giants somehow, in some way, went 37-7 to catch the Dodgers. The Dodgers weren't that bad. It's just that the Giants just had a massive carry-on. So, yeah, there's a lot of background. The big contenders were the Giants, Dodgers, and Phillies. Phillies were the defending National League champions. The Dodgers looked good with a 13.5 game lead over the Giants. It looks like it would be Yankees, Giants, and all that. However, the Giants put up a 16-game winning streak in late August. And with 10 days left, they were 4.5 back. The Giants ended up winning every one of their last 7 games, whereas the Dodgers lost 6 of the last 10. They ended up tied at 96-58. Now, the Dodgers made several key gaffes. One big gaffe was not pitching Clem Levin, a promising rookie, enough. After he got in trouble for not pitching from the right way, pitching from the windup instead of the stretch instead of a windup over, and giving a grand slam to Phillies Willie Puddinghead Jones. That's their name. Brooklyn's manager decided not to allow Levin to pitch ever again. He only pitched a few games out of the bullpen, but he didn't start a game, and that was critical because Levin was good. Now remember, usually there's a one-game playoff to decide ties. However, the National League at that time, until I believe 1963 or 64, I don't know when they changed their tone, but they always had a 3-game playoff, whereas the American League had 1-game playoffs. The tie-breaking playoffs are rare in sports prior to the wildcard era in 1969. The American League didn't really have too many one-game playoffs. I think they only had 2 one-game playoffs, or one. I don't know how many tiebreakers they had. I remember Cleveland going into Fenway Park to beat Boston in 1948, thanks to Lou Boudreau. I think that was the only one. I can't recall any other American League season having a one-game tiebreak, some kind of tiebreak for the trip to the World Series. Whereas the National League had plenty. 1946, Cardinals and Dodgers met in the playoffs. In 1959, Dodgers met the Milwaukee Braves. Well, to be Atlanta Braves. And in 1962, Dodgers and Giants met for the NL pennant in the best of 3. So Brooklyn ended up winning a coin flip to determine the playoff schedule and decided to play the first game at home at Ebbets Field, and then would play the next 2 at the Polo Grounds. thinking that if they could win in Brooklyn, then they could just win one of 2 games at the famous Polo Grounds. Of course, that backfired on them. But anyway, nevertheless, at Ebbets Field, the Giants beat the Dodgers 3-1, thanks to Bobby Thompson, remember the name, and Monty Irvin's home runs. In Game 2, the Dodgers win 10-0 as they pounded the ball past the Giants. Glenn LeBin was the hero of Game 2, which set up the deciding Game 3, which was at 1:30 Eastern Time on a Wednesday. The matchup was Sal Magallate for the Giants and Brooklyn's Don Newcomb. In the first inning, Jackie Robinson singled home Pee Wee Reese for the first run of the game. The Giants tried to rally and failed. The score was 1-0 through 6.5, but in the 7th, Bobby Thompson, remember the name, he had a sac fly tying the score 1-1, scoring Monty Irvin. In the 8th inning, the Dodgers put up 3 runs with Reese and Snyder on base. Maglet made a wild pitch that allowed Reese to score and Snyder to go to second base. Robinson was blocked intentionally to set up a double play, but Andy Pafko hit a ground ball off the heel of Bobby Thompson, remember that name, his glove. Snyder scored and Robinson took third. Billy Cox would score an RBI single to get Robinson across 4-1. Newcomb did his job in the bottom of the 8th, setting off the Giants, and Larry Jansen came in relief for Maglet. Newcomb somehow, in some way, was overtired because he pitched a complete game 4 days before the excuse me, in Philadelphia, and then he was in relief. He pitched 5 innings of relief the following day. The following day during the last game of the regular season. I guess trying to get the Dodgers into the 1-game playoff. And a lot of people said that he wanted to take himself out of the game and get someone up for the 9th. But Jackie Robinson allegedly said that he continued, you go out there and pitch until your arm falls off. But Newcomb did insist himself that he never asked to be relieved. Anyway, in the bottom of the 9th, Alvin Dark hit a single. The Dodgers allegedly made a defensive mistake with no outs and a runner on first and a 3-run lead. The strategy would be to position the infield for a double play, which obviously means that they're down to their final out. But Gil Hodges played behind the runner for some reason, although he was trying to guard against a steal attempt, leaving the large gap on the right side of the infield. And Don Mueller hit a single through that gap, which got Dark to third base. There were runners on first and third, and nobody else. Monty Irvin came up to the plate. But Don Newcomb got Irvin to foul out to Hodges, so 1 out. No big deal. Lockman hit a double down the field line to make it 4-2. Mueller went to third, and Lockman's on second. However, Mueller would actually slide into the base awkwardly, injuring his ankle, and Clint Harta had to come in to pinch run. With Thompson coming up, Dodgers manager Chuck Dressen finally pulled Newcomb, and Branca and Erskine were warming up. Branca did give up that home run to Bobby Thompson in Game 1. You could have went with Erskine, but Erskine was bouncing his curveball short of the plate. So the coach said that Erskine, I don't think, can do it. You got to use Branca. And Branca did lose 6 of his last 7 decisions, so it was weird. Dressen's options were severely limited because the only other pitchers were Clyde King and Preacher Rowe, and even Glenn LeBin. But they were so Thompson was at with first base open, and Willie Mays, the fresh-faced rookie, on deck. Mays was 0 for 3 against Branca in the first game. And Dressen did not want to put the winning runner on base and figured that a veteran pinch hitter was going to come in for Mays if he did so. Dressen decided to pitch to Thompson. Franca did throw a called strike on the inside corner. And then his second pitch was a fastball high and inside. But Thompson connected, driving the ball down the left field line. And remember, the Polo Grounds had left field about 250 feet, whereas center was like 450 plus. The game was done. Thompson had hit the 3-run home run, and the Giants won the pennant, as Ross Hodges practically said, and all that. It was amazing. The worst part is the visitors' clubhouse was underneath the center field bleachers, which, is 450 feet away. It was amazing. But a delegation of Dodgers visited the Giants locker room to offer their congratulations. So sportsmanship ruled the day in 1951. Thompson was all involved. I mean, he was 3 for 3 at the plate with 4 RBIs. He erased both Dodger leads, and he did have a key play that botched him. Thompson had that fielding error, and then he had a base running error in the second inning. And one of the broadcasters on the radio said that he compared Thompson's base running error to Merkel's boner. However, he hit the winning home run, so Bobby Thompson erased that problem. Anyway, Ross Hodges. This is how he called it nationwide. Well, he broadcast the game. No, not nationwide, sorry. He broadcast it on WMCA for Giants fans. See if I can do it right. There's a long drive. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants wins the pennant. Bobby Thompson hits into the lower deck of the left field stands. The Giants win the pennant. They're going crazy. They're going crazy. Oh! I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Now, here's the thing about that broadcast in 1951. Broadcasts were not routinely taped in 1951 because, things would be infamous. And no one at any of the local stations were recording the game. That call survives only because a Brooklyn fan by the name of Lawrence Goldberg asked his mother to tape record the game while he was at work because he wanted to hear Ross Hodges cry because, he was a famous Giants broadcaster who was more known as a homer. Yeah. Goldberg was a Giants fan since childhood. Well, Goldberg was a Brooklyn fan. But rumors circulated that Goldberg was actually a Giants fan since childhood, so that was weird. But regardless, when Goldberg heard this, he sent it to Ross Hodges for a pack of cigarettes. He says, "You got to have this." And that call has always been in the Hodges family. And the Library of Congress in 2020 inducted it into the National Recording Registry. Ernie Harwell called the game for WPIX. And that broadcast was carried on the NBC network, the first coast-to-coast live telecast of a Major League game. His description was not recorded. He said that he just said, "It's gone." I said to myself, if that ball drops in Pascal's glove, I'm in deep trouble. He didn't really do much commentary. The pitchers took over. Anyway. That was just amazing and all that. So, what can you do? Red Barber called it for the Dodgers radio, obviously. He said straightforward. Franca pumps, delivers a curve, swung on belted deep shot to left field. It is a home run, and the Giants win the National League pennant. The Polo Grounds goes wild. It was said that he didn't have any drop in his voice, even though there was a Dodgers announcer. It was called the Miracle of Coogan's Bluff and all that. The Giants did lose the World Series to the Yankees. Only in 6 games. They actually had the Yankees dead to rights a little bit. Sukfort would actually resign as bullpen coach in January of 52 after 19 years with the Dodgers. He denied that his role in that shot heard around the world game had any bearing on the decision to leave. But a lot of people said it was speculated. It was amazing. So, yeah. In the fall of 2001, surviving members of the Giants and Dodgers teams of 51, including Thompson and Frank, met at Coogan's Bluff to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the game. It was amazing. All that. There's the shot heard round the world, as they called it. Although a lot of people would say that's kind of stupid and all that because of the fact that that was what they called the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand that started World War I in 1914. The shot heard around the world. The only problem was that the Giants' comeback did have a little bit of asterisk next to it. In 2001, it was rumored, and in ensuing years, it was actually rumored that the Giants somehow had sign stealing and all that. But in 2001, it was revealed by backup catcher Sal Yevars that it happened. The team used a telescope in the Giants clubhouse behind center field, manned by a couple of people, to steal the finger signs of opposing catchers. Signs were relayed via a buzzer wire connected from the clubhouse to telephones in the Giants' dugout and bullpen. One buzz for fastball, two for an off-speed pitch. Bobby Thompson did say that he didn't hear the buzzing, didn't hear the signal from the coach. He was just tuned into the situation. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's true. However, there is a little bit of controversy with that because of the fact that there's a problem with that. The Giants actually had a stellar road record in their streak. They actually won, I believe, I think they had a better winning percentage on the road than at home. So thus, why would they sign steal in other teams' ballparks if they only did it at the Polo Grounds? Because they could have lost on opponent's ground and would have lost the pennant. So no harm, no foul in a sense. So yeah, people will turn to that. But yeah, it was a great moment and it brought baseball to the forefront. I mean, the first coast-to-coast baseball game in American history. Man, that was just one lucky duck that had happened. And yeah, the Dodgers and Giants would meet in the 1962 playoff to decide who faces the Yankees in the World Series. Unfortunately, the Dodgers also blew a 4-2 lead. But this time, the Dodgers blew it on home turf at, I believe, Dodger Stadium. Yeah, Dodger Stadium was around. So they blew it at home and had a chance to come back from that 4-2, from 6-4 down, and they failed. So, yeah, kind of a reversal of fortune. But anyway, it was a great game. Don't forget to watch The Birthday Boy for the second part of why the two events are connected. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.